Hello, dear friends. Don't go anywhere without your freedom, without your essence, and without your honesty. Opinion piece. Spirituality without religion. Energy healing. Essential truths. Unity in diversity. Changes in the air. Universal principles. Synergy of practices. Holistic consciousness. Inspiring philosophies. Connection with nature. Revaluation of ancestry. Unification of traditions. Wisdom of the ancestors. Search for transcendence. No dogmas or hierarchies. Let's start. Spirituality without religion is a growing phenomenon characterized by a search for connection and meaning outside of traditional religious structures. This approach allows living human beings to explore their spiritual dimension individually, often integrating elements of various traditions, philosophies, and modern practices. The advanced civilizations of the galaxy do not have religions but a spiritual science. In 2025, the growth of human beings seeking spiritual connection outside of traditional religions will continue. The trend reflects a growing interest in individual connection, holistic practices, and a more integrated view of the human being. This includes practices such as meditation and energy work. This trend prioritizes the direct and personal experience of the sacred or transcendental, without intermediaries such as dogmas or religious hierarchies. Individuals choose practices that resonate with them, such as meditation, yoga, creative visualization, or connection with nature. People focus on common principles such as love, compassion, unity, and personal growth without specific cultural or religious boundaries. This autonomy empowers each person to find their unique spiritual path rather than following rules imposed by an organization. Spirituality is lived by interacting with the natural environment, seeing the earth as a living being to connect with. Visualization and affirmations are used to cultivate positive moods, manifest desires, and connect with personal purpose. Methods such as chakra work and sound therapies are considered paths to spiritual balance. Summary. There is increasing interest in merging teachings from different spiritual cultures such as Buddhism, Hinduism, shamanism, and indigenous traditions. This phenomenon seeks to integrate teachings and practices from diverse cultures and philosophies into a holistic vision of spirituality. This movement is based on the idea that although traditions may differ in their external forms, they share universal principles that can enrich the spiritual life of human beings. All traditions point to essential truths such as the search for love, compassion, wisdom, and connection with something greater than oneself. And this is called unity in diversity. This implies a synergy of practices, that is, a combination of elements from different traditions to adapt them to modern needs, but respecting the roots, that is, honoring and learning from the original cultures while adapting the teachings responsibly. Examples of the integration of traditions include yoga and Buddhist meditation combined with contemplative practices from Christian, Sufi, or Taoist traditions, healing rituals using sacred plants, integrating indigenous wisdom and contemporary psychology, as well as incorporating principles of Hindu yoga and the use of mantras, chants, and devotional music from various traditions to foster a collective spiritual experience. Interesting. Drones are curious. Drones appeared in the same New Jersey location where Orson Welles' in 1938 radio drama War of the Worlds was set, sparking mass hysteria. The meteorological narrative ends. The ice in Antarctica is now 17% higher. The latest Arctic ice data shows it is 26% larger than it was in 2012. It doesn't fit the mainstream media narrative. University of Washington Atmospheric Sciences Professor Cliff Mass predicts fusion energy will put an end to the weather industrial complex. Mark Zuckerberg denies existence of doomsday bunker in Hawaii, calls it a little shelter. Alternative news. X22 report. The movement has begun and the people are taking back control. Putin reveals that Biden offered to postpone Ukraine's entry into NATO as a compromise. The dark side has no other options. They only have two plans to stop Trump. Try to make sure he doesn't come to power, or when he does come to power, collapse the economy and the world. They would use cyber warfare to start it. President-elect Trump posts humorous Christmas message to wonderful soldiers of China in quotes over Panama Canal dispute, and also mocked Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. It is slowly changing the system, according to Gold Telegraph. In the last 24 hours, the US has hinted that it wants to take control of the Panama Channel and Greenland. Earlier this week, Donald Trump said it was a great idea for Canada to become the 51st US state. It feels like we are living a movie. Could the US take over Greenland? Although there is no formal offer on the table, buying Greenland would cost a colossal sum. In the midst of Europe's economic crisis, Denmark might need some extra cash. The last US offer to buy Greenland for $100 million was rejected in 1946. Greenland's Prime Minister Mute Egede insisted, "We are not for sale and we never will be." What is so special about Greenland? There is speculation that the island is rich in significant offshore oil and gas resources that have not yet been exploited. It contains confirmed deposits of zinc, gold, iron, uranium, and other metals, as well as extensive deposits of rare earths. Bougainville's King Bay claims that the volcano has erupted, making it possible to blow up the system and make its payments without interruption or forever, thus making the world free, sovereign and independent. King Pei will use the trillions of dollars in gold and copper he controls for the greater good of the planet. Economy. Your financial habits date back to childhood, according to a psychotherapist. 93% of the world's money is in the bank accounts of 8 families. The 10-year Treasury yield is back above 4.6%. According to David Lynn, the market is now much more dangerous for the first time in 2 years. Bank failures would be almost unavoidable by 2025, according to Mike McClone. Indian rupee crashes to all-time low against major currencies. China's industrial profits extend decline to a fourth straight month, falling 7.3% in November. As China pulls away from Japan, Tokyo has announced a massive sell-off of the dollar. Dollar share of global reserves drops to 30-year low. Elon Musk says the Fed is overstaffed, an understatement. Insurance companies deny coverage for cancer treatments. The fourth largest banks in the US are on track to capture their largest share of industry profits in nearly a decade. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo account for 44% of the gains. BRICS to teach dollar for gold-backed cryptocurrency. BRICS currencies are plummeting according to Joe Bloggs. BRICS are panicking as dollar is king again according to Michael Cowan. The BRICS alliance aims to topple the dollar as the world's reserve currency. Despite efforts to unseat the dollar remains the dominant currency and forced to be reckoned with in currency markets. About 58% of the world's reserves are dominated in dollars, and cutting ties with that currency would be suicidal for emerging economies. Bloomberg claims that the biggest threat to the dollar is not the BRICS, but the US itself. According to Gold Telegraph, the owner of gold makes the rules. Countries are hoarding gold to strengthen their foreign exchange reserves and elevate their global standing. However, inflation is quietly eating away at paper reserves, decreasing their value against gold. China has already conducted half of its bilateral trade in its own currency. Change is in the air. Europe. US threatens Europe. Buy more oil and LNG or get punished. US promises to impose tariffs on EU if it doesn't buy US gas. Qatar has emerged as a key supplier of liquefied natural gas to Europe as countries reduce their reliance on Russian energy. German president dissolved his parliament for early elections on February 23rd. Europe's decline is undeniable, says Timofey Bordachev. Just a few years ago, most of Western Europe seemed like a fortress of stability in international politics. Now, however, it has become an endless source of peculiar headlines and confusion. Russia offers several routes to secure gas supplies to Europe as questions arise over Ukrainian transit. A Russian shipment of liquefied natural gas travels around the world and finds no buyers. Russia develops ultra-sensitive sensor for detecting pesticides in food. A Russian missile reportedly shot down an Azerbaijan Airlines flight on Christmas Day. Asia. Clashes erupt in New Syria after locals ambush and kill Islamist fighters. Israel conducts airstrikes against Houthis across Yemen. South Korea's interim president ousted 2 weeks after the overthrowing the previous one. China's new sixth-generation fighter plane is causing an international stir. Spain suppresses 20,000 victims of sexual crimes in a single year for the first time. A Spanish YouTuber arrested for making explosives and making a tutorial. A Norwegian ship refused to save the crew of the sunken Russia ship. The crew members were rescued by a Spanish rescue ship. Americas. The Mexican government meets with other countries to deal with mass deportations. Paraguay toughens penalties for child abuse crimes. Bolivia issues an arrest warrant against former President Evo Morales for child trafficking. Guatemalan police carried out a massive raid on the compound of the Left Tower sect and rescued 160 children and adolescents and 40 women after receiving testimonies of abuse. Cuba reaffirms its commitment to cooperation with the Eurasian Economic Union. A global currency crisis begins as Brazil sells $17 billion in urgent bailout, according to Sinfu. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.